This is Change Your Mindset Podcast, the podcast that helps change your life by helping change the mindset of the 99% into the 1% mindset. Here's your host, Adrian Gomez.
Welcome back to another podcast episode of Change Your Mindset. I'm your host, Adrian Gomez. Society nowadays rewards people that are victims, people that are overweight and obese. Like this article I'm going to go over with you. Instead of people that work hard, people that try to change and benefit their life for the better, those people don't get rewarded. The wrong people in today's world are being rewarded and are becoming heroes to some people, which I strongly do not agree with. And this article that I'm going to go over with you, I do not subscribe to this. I do not agree with it, and I do not support it. I want people to change for the better, to be healthier, and overall have a better life. What's going on nowadays, I don't subscribe to, and I don't agree with. People being victims, people complaining, and people whining. I do not support, and I do not agree with. That's why society is so messed up nowadays, and why the younger generations are confused, messed up, lazy, complain, and whine. Because of stuff like this. And I'm going to start reading you the article. This article is from dailymail.com. It was published December 13, 2023. And the title is Southwest Airlines accused of rewarding obesity with new policy that grants very overweight passengers free extra seats. The article starts off, customers have criticized Southwest Airlines for a ridiculous policy that gives overweight passengers free seats to accommodate their size. The airline has instituted a customer of size policy, which allows overweight passengers whose body takes up more than one seat on the plane to get the needed number of seats for free. The policy states that customers who encroach upon any part of the neighboring seats may purchase however many extra seats they need, which will then be refunded at check-in. The change has provoked mixed feedback among customers. While some body-positive customers have praised the policy for allowing those with obesity to travel more easily, critics say it's pandering to very overweight people and gives them an unfair advantage. On social media, many have pointed out that free space is now available to customers who are very tall and need extra legroom, those traveling with medical equipment, or are wheelchair users. These groups have to pay often hundreds of dollars for additional space. Some have also pointed out that the new rule is likely to worsen the airline's already hectic boarding process. Southwest passengers are unable to book seats ahead of time, which often results in a scramble for window and aisle seats when customers make it to the plane. Southwest policy states that customers qualify for the free ticket if any part of the body extends past the seat's armrest. The armrest is considered to be the definitive boundary between seats, it reads. If you're unable to lower both armrests or encroach upon any portion of a seat next to you, you need a second seat. Our policy does not focus on weight. The airline does not ask for customers' weight or body mass index, BMI, which determines if you are overweight or obese, according to medical guidelines. The extra seat can be purchased ahead of time while booking online and then refunded. Or customers can go to the departures gate and ask about the free seat. If you book the seat online, you still have to see a customer service agent at the airport for refund documents. The purchase of additional seats serves as a notification of a special seating need and allows us to accurately plan for the number of occupied seats on board, Southwest policy states. It also helps us ensure we can accommodate all customers on the flight for which they purchase a ticket and avoid asking customers to relinquish their seats for unplanned accommodation. Kimmy Garris, a TikToker from Nashville who calls herself a fat solo traveler, posted a video of herself asking about the airline's policy for obese passengers in October. In the clip, which has more than 900,000 views, the customer service agent gives her an extra ticket for the seat next to her. She is then seen boarding the plane and putting her extra ticket on the seat next to her so no one can sit there. In the overlaid caption, Ms. Garris states that this policy should be the industry norm. She adds, "Flying in public transportation should be more comfortable and accessible for all people, including fat and disabled people." The latest announcement means the airline has made this perk a company-wide policy. Critics on social media have blasted Southwest, which does not include free accommodations for tall customers or those who need extra space for medical equipment. On Twitter, a user named Tuck wrote, "They've never offered me the seat in front of me because I'm 6'6" and my legs don't fit." User Curtis Westmoreland said, "This is ridiculous. We keep rewarding the problem at the cost of our own comfort." Additionally, a Twitter user named Proud Patriot wrote, "Glamorizing obesity is not a good look." So what happens if the person of size requests 2 additional seats at the gate and takes the seats you and your partner purchased? User Sees the One said. Jaylene Cheney, a size 6XL travel influencer with about 135,000 followers on TikTok, has frequently advocated for free or larger seats on planes. In an October video, which reached nearly 73,000 views, text on the screen read, "Hot take. Every airline should have a customer of size policy like Southwest Airlines. If more airlines adopted policies like Southwest Airlines, customer of size policy offering free or reimbursed additional seats for plus-size passengers who need more space, air travel would be far more accessible and accommodating to people of size," the caption read. Ms. Cheney also called upon the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, earlier this year with a petition asking airlines to scrap their discriminatory policies and give obese passengers free seats. "People with smaller bodies get to pay one fare to get to their destination," she told CNN, "and we have to pay 2 fares, even though we're getting the same experience. If anything, our experiences are a little bit more challenging." In April, personal trainer Josh Nabby filmed a response to one of Ms. Cheney's videos on the subject and criticized the idea of giving extra seats to obese passengers. He said, "The policy offers an advantage to overweight customers that those requiring other accommodations have to pay extra for. You did not think about this for more than 30 seconds, he said in the video, which has more than 1.4 million views. The reality is, everybody has the ability to fly on a plane. Some people just have it worse. Let's say you have some disease and you need to carry medication or special medical equipment with you. You have to pay extra to get that on the plane, or at the very least, spend a lot more time going through the TSA. That sucks, but you have to do it. Say it's not even physical, it's a mental disorder, and you're just extremely prone to anxiety attacks or crowded spaces or something like that. If you want to fly, you have to figure out the accommodations for that." A TikTok user also stitched one of Ms. Cheney's videos and said, "I can't stand the entitlement of people who have literally put themselves in this position, to be this overweight and morbidly obese. The fact that she thinks she deserves 2 or 3 free seats on that plane that costs people money to go travel to God knows where honestly breeds so much narcissism. It makes me so mad. None of these people deserve this. You need to pay your fair share, just like everyone else." Data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, suggests that obesity is on the rise in the U.S. Rates are highest in West Virginia, Louisiana, and Oklahoma, where 40% of adults are considered obese. This is defined as BMI of at least 30. In 19 other states, 35% meet this criteria. No state had an obesity rate below 25%. And that's the end of the article. Like I said at the beginning, I don't agree with this. and I don't subscribe to this. I don't think people should be rewarded for being lazy and complaining. And the thing that bugs me the most, people that like this are obese and think they deserve free stuff because of how they are. The thing is, they did this to themselves. No one forced food down their throats. No one told them to eat this much food. They did it on their own. And they should suffer the consequences. Because that's how life really works. If you do something bad, you suffer the consequences. You don't get rewarded for doing something bad. But apparently nowadays, you do get rewarded. And how is that fair for the people that are fit, that work out hard, that they have to pay for their own seats? But someone who is obese and lazy and complains gets a free extra seat. How does that make any sense? And what they said in the article as well, someone who is tall, they don't get a free seat. Being tall is out of your control. You don't control how tall you can be. It also goes to someone who has a medical condition. As they said in the article, if someone has to carry a machine because they have medical issues, sometimes you can't control that. And is it fair that they have to pay for a seat because something they cannot control with a medical issue? While someone who is morbidly obese gets a free seat because they decided to stuff their face. How does that make any sense? How is that fair? And this is society nowadays. We reward people like this, while everyone else who does the right thing has to suffer the consequences. Makes no sense at all. It's ludicrous. And I'll never subscribe to this victim mentality. And this is not what this podcast is about. Stuff like this, I would never agree with. And the sickening thing about it is how Southwest Airlines is rewarding people to be obese, which is pretty disgusting. There is nothing positive about being obese. There is nothing positive about being overweight. It gives you nothing but problems being obese. Causes you health problems, causes you back problems. It causes you knee problems because of all the extra weight you're carrying. It causes you a lot of inconvenience in places where you go, such as airplanes, being in cars, and other small places. And when you get to a port where you're really big, you have to get custom clothing because they no longer provide clothes in your size. The odds of you dying at a younger age greatly increase because of the health problems you're going to have. There is literally not one thing that is positive for you to be obese and overweight. It's nothing but negatives. And it's sickening that people are being rewarded for being obese. And I would never promote obesity, and I would never encourage it. But I strongly unsubscribe for people being obese. In order to have a long life, you need to be healthy. And you only get one body, so you need to take care of it. On a different topic, it's the end of the year. This is the last podcast of 2023. And I appreciate every single person that tunes in and listens to these episodes. Because at the end of the day, I want people to improve. It's something that I know I have listeners mostly on Apple Podcasts, and the second would be Spotify. And on Spotify sent me pretty much a year-end review, which they call it Wrapped. And I thought I'd share it with you. So the first thing was, the most listened podcast was Quiet Quitting. And in 2023, on Spotify, this podcast gained 84% of new listeners, which I think is pretty much outstanding. And apparently, the episode Quiet Quitting really brought them in. It says 13% of the new listeners started with that episode. And on Spotify, the podcast was streamed in 34 countries. The United States was the top country, with 51% of total streams, which of course makes a lot of sense. And it says, have the most new listeners in number 1, Australia, number 2, Canada, number 3, Philippines, number 4, Denmark, number 5, Kenya. So shout out to all my international listeners. Truly appreciate it. And according to Spotify, people share this podcast. They shared it 87% through text and 13% through a direct link. And I truly appreciate everyone that does share it. And knowing people that actually share this podcast, it's kind of a relief because it means it's actually provides good episodes and it's actually good. So that's good to know, and I truly do appreciate it. And according to Spotify, there was a growth of 14% of followers and 302% of minutes created. So shout out to all my new followers from 2023. I truly appreciate you. And this statistic I found very interesting. So Spotify claims that this podcast is a top 10 podcast for 88 fans. And that this podcast is a top 5 podcast for 47 fans. And this podcast is number 1 podcast for 7 fans, which is pretty crazy in my opinion. But like I said, it's 2023. I truly appreciate every single person that does listen to this podcast. The year is over. We're done here. But 2024, we're going to improve. Every year, we will improve. Chapter 2023 is closed. It's in the books. It was great. Now we're opening a new chapter, 2024. And we're going to hit that year strong. And we are all going to improve. Like I said earlier in the month, I have something planned for 2024. For people that are serious in improving and actually starting off the year right. For people that are actually serious about changing their mindset. They're actually about growing and improving. You will improve every single week. And to give you a hint, I will hold you accountable. It's one thing to listen to this podcast. It's another thing to actually execute and do something about it. And next year, we will see who's actually serious about it. And I'm excited for those people. But like I said, I'll talk more about it on the first podcast of 2024. Until then, thank you guys as always. Thank you for 2023. It was a great year. 2024, it's another year to improve and get better. And thank you again to my new listeners and new followers. And also, thank you to my old listeners and old followers. Truly appreciate every single one of you. Happy New Year to everyone. Be safe out there. And let's start 2024 strong. And as always, change your mindset to change your life. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Mindset podcast. Be sure to tune in every week for a new episode. As always, change your mindset to change your life.